The credentials never created the work. The fire did. The extremity did. The credentials are decorations that come after. They are footnotes. They are the plaque they bolt onto the building once it has already been built. But the building was not built by plaques. It was built by the man who bled, by the man who stayed up in the middle of the night when no one cared, when no one believed, by the man who risked humiliation, who was willing to be torn apart, who had no backup plan. That is fire. A degree from Harvard did not create a company. A LinkedIn page did not write the book. A resume did not run the marathon. The extremity did. The fire did. The willingness to lose everything, to throw oneself into the furnace, to be scorched alive, that is what created the thing. Credentials are photograph of the mountain summit, but the mountain is climbed by torn muscles, frostbitten fingers, lungs gasping for air. The certificate cannot climb for you. That is why those who have truly done see credentials as irrelevant, because they know that when they were in the trenches, when they were burning, the credentials did not fight the battle for them. They were alone, naked. That nakedness was the source of creation, of conquest, of art, of greatness. And once you see that the fire alone births the work, you cannot ever again mistake the certificate for the source. The photograph of the summit is a souvenir. It is a snapshot taken after the conquest. It is a clean, glossy, and lifeless. But the climb was not glossy. The climb was mud, blood, despair. The climb was blistered feet, trembling legs, hallucinations in the thin air. The climb was doubt gnawing at your bones, the voice saying, "Turn back, you will die here." The photograph is easy to frame. The climb was anything but easy. This is the difference between credentials and fire. Credentials are the photograph, fire is the climb. Those who have really done know this in their bones. They remember the moments no certificate could capture, the night they nearly quit, the humiliation that almost broke them, the fear of going bankrupt, of being ridiculed, of being forgotten. The quiet, lonely war that no resume bullet point can ever reveal. And they know, when they look back, that it was precisely the nakedness that created the greatness. Not the degree, not the endorsement, not the status. The nakedness of having no shield, the nakedness of being without guarantees, the nakedness of this either works or I am destroyed. That nakedness forces a man into extremity, and extremity is the birthplace of art, invention, revolution, truth. The credential is the polished stone left behind. The fire was the volcano that birthed it. The man in the fire has no use of decorations. When you are standing in the flames, do you ask about your resume? When your skin is burning, when the world is crumbling beneath your feet, do you think about LinkedIn endorsements? When death is staring at you, when truth is cracking you open, do you calculate your years of experience? All these things, titles, degrees, credits, or garments, they are ornaments for the man who is afraid of nakedness. They are badges for the man who never dares to step into the furnace. The extreme man, the man aflame, has seen that none of it survives the fire. No PhD will save you when you are drowning in the ocean of your own mind. No award will silence the terror in your chest when you lie awake at 3 a.m., staring into the void. No salary slip will deliver you from loneliness. The man who lives in extremis doesn't renounce status and titles. He simply outgrows them. They fall away like children's toys. They are revealed as nonsense. He has seen their emptiness, and once you have seen, you cannot unsee. The one who clings to these ornaments is not alive. He is playing dress up, trying to persuade himself and others that he is somebody. The extreme man has no need to be somebody. He is scorched into being nobody. And that nobody burns brighter than all the accolades of the world combined. Do you want me to show you why you still care about those ornaments? Why they still pull at you like magnets? Because you still believe there is safety in them. Because you think that if you can stack enough degrees, enough job titles, enough money, then the fire will not touch you. But the fire comes anyway. You still care about because they are lifeboats, they are masks you can bear when the world looks at you, they are answers you can hand over when someone asks, "Who are you?" The extreme man has no such need. He doesn't need to answer, he doesn't need to appear strong, accomplished, intelligent. He is willing to stand unclothed with nothing to hide behind. That is why he has no use for titles and credentials, because he has chosen the real over the false. And once the real is tasted, the false is nothing but ash. When a man is extreme, when he is in the fire, he is not operating from the shallow psychology of appearances. He does not need to convince himself that he is strong. He does not need the world to clap for him or to bow before his resume. Because the fire itself is the proof. When you are scorched, when you are standing without lifeboats, the rawness of your being is enough. Titles, credentials, experience, these are devices created by society for those who have not touched the raw edge of existence. They are inventions for those who live in comparison, who must constantly measure themselves against another. They are stories for the frightened. But once you taste the real, when you face your fear directly, when you plunge into the ocean without a shore in sight, you see that all those devices are useless. They cannot hold you up, they cannot shield you from the emptiness of death, from the terror of meaninglessness, from the raw truth of your own insignificance. The man who has stood in that fire discovers that strength is not built on applause, intelligence is not built on degrees, identity is not built on carriers. These things are scaffolding for the insecure, and when the ground collapses, scaffolding does not save you. That is why, once the real is seen, the false turns to ash. Because you have discovered its importance, it no longer seduces you. You see it as one sees a magician's trick after knowing the mechanism. There is no more wonder, no more temptation. The extreme man is unclothed because clothing no longer has meaning. The nakedness itself is the liberation. The moment you build a resume, you build a coffin. A resume is a record of what you have done. The fire is a demand for what you are now. The resume is a monument to the past. The fire is the incineration of the past. Titles, credentials, LinkedIn profiles. These are ways of saying, look at me, believe in me, I am legitimate, I am safe. But legitimacy is a prison, safety is a lie. The man of credentials is always looking back, polishing his trophies, expanding his showcase. He becomes a curator of his own museum, but the museum is dead, it is dust. It is a mausoleum of what he once was. The man in the fire cannot afford such indulgence. He does not have time to polish his LinkedIn page. He is too busy burning. He is too busy facing the abyss of now. And in that abyss, no one asks about your job title. No one cares about your years of experience. Only the raw nerve of your being is left. That is why those who have really gone into extremity, who have created, who have conquered, who have faced the impossible, do not care about credentials. Because they have already seen that the credentials never created the work. The fire did, the extremity did. The resume, the credentials, these things limit you because they make you think you are them. They make you cling to an identity, and identity is the great coffin. As long as you are a VP of sales or founder of X or Harvard graduate, you cannot be naked. You cannot be free. You must maintain the role. You must keep the mask polished, and the mask is the enemy of fire. The fire only takes the naked man. Think about it. Every title, every credential, every resume bullet point is a label someone else gave you or that you claim for yourself. VP of sales, founder, Harvard graduate. Each one is a box you climb into, a box with walls, a roof, a polished exterior. Comfortable, safe, but limiting. When you wear these labels, you start to behave as the label dictates. You are no longer acting from raw instinct, from urgency, from truth. You are performing. You must preserve the story of yourself. You cannot take risks that might shatter the image. You cannot speak honestly, act honestly because the label constrains you. The extreme man, the man in the fire, does not have this problem. He has no labels, no masks. He cannot be defined because he will not allow definition to restrain him. He acts from immediacy, from necessity, from the raw edge of life. There is no history to protect, no story to maintain. Every action is unfiltered, unbound, and therefore infinitely more potent. The mask, the polished identity you cling to, is the enemy of fire because fire demands nakedness. Fire does not care if you are VP of sales or Harvard graduate. Fire will strip it all away in an instant, and if you cling to the mask, you will burn anyway. But you will burn in chains, trying to preserve appearances. Freedom, extremity, creation, they all require you to step out of the coffin of identity. Only then can the fire touch you cleanly. Only then can you act with full force, uncalculated, unafraid, and alive.